Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, in order to start, we would like to introduce, we would like to listen to opening remark from Miss Nguyễn Thị Thu Phương, Director of Vietnam Institute of Culture, Art and Sport, and Mr. Omkura Tetsuda, the directors of the JTTRI, Head of Tourism Research Institute in ASEAN in India. Miss Nguyễn Thị Thu Phương, the floor is all yours.
Your Excellency, Mr. Aito Naoki, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of Japan to Vietnam, Dr. Nguyễn Trung Khánh, Chairman of the Vietnam National Authority of Tourism, Mr. Okuda, President of Japan Transport and Tourism Research Institute, Asia Pacific Division, and distinguished delegates from the Departments of Culture, Sports and Tourism, Departments of Tourism, UNESCO, Creative Cities, distinguished experts, scholars, tourism enterprises, and media representatives. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Vietnam Institute of Culture, Arts, Sports and Tourism, I would like to extend my warmest welcome and heartfelt gratitude to all of you for attending the 3rd Vietnam-Japan International Symposium on the theme Creative Tourism, Sustainable Destination Development. This is an important scientific cooperation event between VICAST and the Japan Transport Tourism Research Institute, following the success of the 2 previous symposia, reforming the enduring friendship and strong partnership between our 2 countries in the field of culture and tourism. Ladies and gentlemen, today's symposium takes place in the context where global tourism is undergoing a profound transformation from sightseeing and consumption toward experience and creativity. This shift reflects a deep change in the development thinking. Tourists are no longer mere observers, but co-creators of value together with local communities. This is a precious opportunity for Vietnam to assert its tourism brand rich in cultural identity, while contributing to sustainable development goals to which Vietnamese government is firmly committed. Dear delegates, the theme of today's symposium is highly practical and timely, focusing on 3 key pillars that align with Vietnam tourism development orientation. First, to transform our mindset from resource exploitation to value creation. Tourism should not only be an economy based on landscapes and heritage, but an industry of creativity, where people, culture, and local identity are at the center. When local communities are empowered and encouraged to participate, to become storytellers, creators, and guardians of Vietnam's cultural soul. And secondly, to preserve and promote cultural values in a more dynamic and modern way. Both tangible and intangible heritage need to be awakened through the language of art, technology, and creative media. When heritage is reinterpreted through light, sound, performance, digital technology, or interactive storytelling, we not only preserve memories, but also spread national pride and inspire younger generations. Third, to develop high-value tourism products that embody strong cultural identity and global competitiveness. Creative tourism should be recognized as a new driver of economic growth, producing knowledge-based, artistic, and technology-integrated products. This pathway will enable Vietnam to build creative, green, and sustainable destinations that meet the evolving demands of the global market. Ladies and gentlemen, I firmly believe that the discussions and presentations and policy recommendations at today's symposium will open up new and practical directions for the development of creative tourism in Vietnam, centered, sustainable, and rich in national character. At the same time, this symposium offers a valuable opportunity to strengthen and expand international cooperation, especially with Japan. On this occasion, uh, a country that has extensive experience in connecting culture, communities, and creativity in tourism development. On this occasion, I would like to expand to express my deepest appreciation to Japan Transport and Tourism Research Institute, to all speakers, delegates, experts, and media partners for accompanying VICAST in preparing and organizing this event, especially to the ambassador that taking time for joining this event today. With that spirit, I'm honored to declare the opening of the third Vietnam-Japan International Symposium, Creative Tourism, Sustainable Destination Development. I, uh, I hope that in the next in the future we can connect culture, sports, and I'm honored to declare the opening of the third time Vietnam-Japan Creative Tourism Sustainable Destination Development. I wish you all good health, happiness, success, and may our event be a great success, spreading the spirit of creativity, sustainable cooperation between Vietnam and Japan. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Associate Professor Nguyễn Thị Thu Phương. And now I would like to invite Mr. Okuda Kasuza to deliver the opening speech. The floor is all yours. Good morning, everyone. My name is Okuda, the Executive Director of Institutes for Transport Policy in Studies and the Director of ASEAN and in India Region's Office. On the behalf of the Japan's organizers, I would like to extend my warmest greeting to all of you. It's my great pleasure that the Institutes for Transport Policy Study in cooperation with the Institutes for the Cultural Art and Tourism of Vietnam, and I'm able to hold this third Japan and Vietnam tourism and people-to-people exchange workshop. I would like to express sincere appreciation to those who has contributed to the organization of this workshop, to everyone who has kindly attended in person despite your busy schedule. And I'd like to send my gratitude to Mr. Nguyễn Trung Khánh, the Vice Minister of Culture, Sport and Tourism of Vietnam, Mr. Nguyễn Trung Khánh, the Director General of Vietnam Vietnam National Administration of Tourism, His Excellency Ito, Ambassador Extraordinary to Japan and Vietnam, and we also work with the Vietnam. Thus, we have the workshop today with the theme is that to overcome the jams of the tourism, aim for the sustainable tourism in Vietnam that's going to reach a lot of the success and fruitful discussion. Last October, we organized a second Japan-Vietnam Tourism People-to-People Exchange Workshop under the theme Balancing the Tourism Development and Heritage Conservation in Cultural Heritage Area towards Sustainable Tourism in Vietnam and Japan. Experts from both countries gathered to share the practical initiative by the government, local authorities, and the private sector, focusing on the preservation and utilizations of the cultural heritage, as well as the valuable tourism resources. Many tourism officers, stakeholders from ASEAN and other countries also took part. The third workshop is held under the creating added value in tourism towards the sustainable futures of local communities. Tourism today is recognized not only as economic activity, but also the creative force that connects the cultures, industry, natures, and local communities. From the Japanese side, we first would like to hear from Mr. Suzuki, the the directors of International Affairs Division, Japan Tourism Agency, who will present the initiative on the sustainable area management through tourism. Or aside from that, we also she will share the new approaches in regional management that utilize tourism as a means to solve the local issues and enhance the qualities of life. Next, Mr. Nishino-san, the Executive Director of Asian Tourism Association, will share practical example from the city of the craftsmanship. He will introduce the effort to integrate the tradition craft into tourism, transforming tourism from simply showing the craftsmanship to support it. And third, we'd have the local industry and fostering the next generations of artisans. Tourism is not only the drive of the economic growth, but also can create the power that carries the culture into the futures. We believe that sharing the knowledge and experiences between Japan and Vietnam, advancing the tourism rooted in the cultures, people, and natures, will greatly contribute to the sustainable development in our regions. It's our sincere hope that today's workshop will serve as a meaningful step towards achieving sustainable high-quality tourism, not only in Japan and Vietnam, but also through ASEAN. The Institute of Transportation Policy Studies and the ASEAN in the Indian regions of it will continue to strengthen practices, ongoing collaboration with our partners in ASEAN and South Asia in the field of transport and tourism. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Okuda. Next, we would like to introduce the distinguished guests attending today's program. We will read their names in order. First, allow me to introduce the delegates from Vietnam. Mr. Dr. Nguyễn Trung Khánh, Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism of Vietnam. Dr. Nguyễn Thị Thu Phương, Vietnam National Administration of Tourism, Director of Vietnam Institute of Culture, Arts, Sports and Tourism. Miss Phạm Lan Anh and Hoàng Thị Bình, the Vice President of VNAT, and Mr. Hoàng Đạo Cẩm Thơ, the Chairman of Vietnam. Mr. Phùng Quang Thắng, Chairman of the Vietnam Green Tourism Association. Mr. Hoàng Đạo Bảo Cầm, Head of Tourism Research Department, Vietnam Institute of Culture, Arts, Sports and Tourism. Dr. Trịnh Lê Anh, Head of Event Management Department, Faculty of Tourism at University of Social Sciences and Humanities, Vietnam National University, Hanoi. Next, allow me to introduce the delegates from Japan. Mr. Ito Naoki, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of Japan to Vietnam. Mr. Okuda, President for International Affairs, President of JTTRI and Japan Transport and Head of Tourism Research Institute, ASEAN-India Regional Office. Mrs. Suzuki Hiroko, Director, International Affairs Office, International Tourism Department, Japan Tourism Agency. Mr. Nishino Yoshiyuki, Secretary General, Atchison City Tourism Association. And Mr. Sawanobori Tsukuhiko, Director of Jalan Research Center, Recruit. He will be attending online today. And it is our great honor to invite our distinguished guests and from everybody and from the culture and the agency, the
expert scientists and also the press and media from Vietnam and Japan spending time participate in the workshop today, online and offline. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and now I would like to invite the guest speaker to come on the stage, to come here.
I would like to invite Mr. Nguyễn Trung Khánh and Mr. Ito Naoki, Ambassador Extraordinary and plenipotentiary of Japan, and I would like to invite Mr. Nguyễn Trung Khánh to have our opening remarks.
His Excellency Ito, ambassadors of Japan to Vietnam, Mr. Okuda, the president of the Internal Affairs for JTTRI, Mr. Nguyễn Quốc Phương, the directors of the VICAST, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, experts, and also my colleagues from the tourism industries from Japan and Vietnam. First of all, it's my honor to be here to participate in the third Vietnam-Japan International Conference between the JTTRI and VICAST. First of all, I would like to extend my respectful greetings and the best wishes to all the delegates, the scientists, the experts participate in a very meaningful conference today. So we could see that the collaborations between the JTTRI with also the VICAST under the generals of the national authorities Vietnam, and now is the this is an organization in Vietnam. I and Okuda-san has met each other many times. First time is in 2013, and from that time we has a lot of exchanges about the orientations in 2023. That is 50 years the relationship between Vietnam and Japan. What could we do? And from that we have the conference as Okuda-san shares in this opening speech. And in 2024 we also have the second conference held in Japan, and today this is the third Vietnam-Japan International Conference. So that I'm very happy with the fruitful cooperations that bring about the practical result that promotes the tourism between Vietnam and Japan in general, and also the promotes the academic exchanges between the JTTRI and Vietnamese partners, and also the VICAST. We believe that this activity is very meaningful when Vietnam and Japan has upgraded our partnership to the comprehensive partnership, and two countries has a traditions for exchanges and collaborations in all field, and especially in tourism. This is the areas that we have a very important collaborations over the last year. Japan is a top 10 countries that's coming to Vietnam, and Vietnam is also one of the destinations for Japanese tourists, and Japan is a favorite destinations for the Vietnamese tourists and in Asia in general. The tourism corporations will also extend to the researches, trainings, and develop the product, apply the technologies, and also the core value for the tourism in the new eras. We believe that I would like to share this information with all of the scientists and the guest speaker today, that in the report of the United Nations Tourism, Vietnam and Japan are two countries with the highest growth in tourism, about 21%. This is not only the good news for Vietnam, but the good news for Japan as well. And Vietnamese tourism, we aim to achieve about 23 million foreign tourists, and we also know that the Japan tourism aim to attract 30 million international tourists. So that is a very positive figure. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, currently global tourism has recovered after the COVID or after the pandemic, and the behavior and the expectations of the visitors has changed. It's not just about the sightseeing, and they also want to have the experience and also to connect. They looking for the new journey where they can learn and create the values and create the cultural product craft products from joining the cooking with the local people, making the pottery, making the silk, or in the natural preservation and heritage, for a journey to be customized and meaningful. So that is the spirit of the creative tourism. That is called creative tourism. That's the type of tourism considered it's the central base, experience base. The creative tourism is not only the trend but also the motivations for the tourism in general. That have the local people to become the innovator and have them with the economic aspect and as well as the environment. With the industrial revolution and 4.0, that tourism becomes a creative industries where the technologies and the cultural value are emerged. Vietnam is one of the countries rich in the cultures as well as in natures, from the craft villages, intangible heritage, as well as with the beautiful landscape. Thus, we have resources for the exploit and develop to be unique tourism products. Creative tourism not only have to increase the experience or improve the experience of the tourists, but also create job opportunity to preserve the traditional value, as well as to increase the attractive of Vietnam in the world. In order to do that, from the Vietnam National Authority of the Tourism. So it means that we need to promote the creativity in the products and also combine the traditional values with the technology so that we can create a unique product that can leave the mark in the heart of the visitors. Secondly, to support the businesses and the startup to be creative and promote the environment so that they can test the new products and promote the PPP, public partnership, and promote the cooperations between the government and the local authorities. And third is that to strengthen the international cooperation in the creative tourism, shares the products, manage the destination trainings, and also apply the technologies, create the tourism products that combine the traditional values as well as creative products, creative tourism products, from the culinaries to the experience entertainment that promotes the international tourism market. Fifthly, is apply the technology and communication, build the digital platform, apply the VRs and digital marketing. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, creative tourism is the futures of Vietnam tourism. There's also an opportunity to emphasize on our value, at the same time create the economic values and sustainable value. I believe that with the spirit of the innovation and creativity, Vietnam will be the destination for the creative tourism, and each experience is unique. Vietnam is a country, a good example for the creative tourism where technologies, art, and heritage are all combined to create interesting products and have their own voice. Vietnam, with our diverse cultures and also the natural resources, we can take this opportunity to learn from the innovations from Japan, and from that we can increase our attractiveness in the international market. And Vietnam also would like to share our value in exploiting the biodiversity as well as green tourism and heritage tourism. The collaborations in Vietnam and Japan will help us to develop, and it's also the bridge have two countries to understand each other more and to bring more new value. I believe that we will move forward for the Vietnam tourism in the coming times. I highly appreciate the support of the JTTRI and VICAST. These are opportunities for the managers, the businesses to share their model and find the solutions for the creative tourism. I believe that the presentation today, we will find the new ideas, the corporations, and from that we can draw up the bright futures for the creative tourism in Vietnam. We believe that Vietnam national authorities of tourism we will continue to support the tourism agencies of both countries, the projects, pilot projects, and also the exchanges for the creative tourism. I believe that with that spirit, the tourism will be the bridge connecting Vietnam and Japan, contribute to the peace and prosperity in the region. I wish that we will have a successful conference. I wish you good health, good luck, and happiness. Also, there's many more experience in your journeys of serving the customers. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Nguyễn Trung Khánh. And now I would like to invite Mr. Ito Naki, the ambassadors of
Xin chào các quý vị. Tôi rất vui mừng vì sự kiện thúc đẩy du lịch và giao lưu nhân dân giữa Nhật Việt được tổ chức tốt đẹp như thế này. Nguyễn Trung Khánh, Vietnam Quốc gia.
Dear Mr. Nguyen Trung Can, Director General of the Vietnam National Administration of Tourism. Dear Ms. Nguyen Thi Tu Phuong, Director of the Vietnam Institute of Culture, Arts, Sports, and Tourism Studies. Dear Mr. Okuda Tetsuyo, Director of the Japan Research Center. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, today I am truly delighted that this event aimed at promoting tourism and enhancing people-to-people exchanges between Vietnam and Japan is being held in such a grand and meaningful manner. I am also very pleased that the third Vietnam-Japan Tourism and Human Resources Exchange Program is being solemnly organized today. This year's theme focuses on enhancing creative value in the tourism sector towards a sustainable future for localities and tourist destinations. According to the World Tourism Organization, by 2025, Japan and Vietnam are projected to be among the countries with the highest tourism growth rates in the world. However, alongside the rapid increase in tourist numbers, some areas have begun to face issues of overload, often referred to as over-tourism. In this context, discussing and proposing solutions and strategies for sustainable tourism development is both timely and highly practical. The relationship between Japan and Vietnam was elevated to a comprehensive strategic partnership in 2023. In the joint statement by the two countries' leaders, tourism was identified as one of the key pillars of this bilateral partnership. Furthermore, during the meeting between Prime Minister Kishida Fumio and Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh on the sidelines of the Japan-ASEAN Summit in October, both sides reaffirmed their commitment to further strengthening the partnership, especially in the area of people-to-people exchange. Strengthening this aspect will continue to be an important pillar in the time ahead. In 2024, the number of Vietnamese visitors to Japan reached approximately 620,000, the highest ever recorded. Meanwhile, Japanese arrivals to Vietnam reached around 710,000. The two countries are now working towards the goal of further increasing the total number of two-way visitors.
Two countries in the futures, and I hope to achieve this by 2030s. And I think that The most important thing is to achieve this goal is to expand the direct flights between two countries. Recently, in terms of the regular flight, the Hanoi-Hiroshima route was open and increased in the 2024. The Hanoi-Ho Chi Minh-Nagoya route and Ho Chi Minh Fukuoka route were open in the 2025, and the Da Nang Osaka route was resumed. In addition, the charter flights were operated between Hanoi and Kagoshima, Hanoi Fukushima, Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh, and Ho Chi Minh Sapporo is also scheduled for the next years. In this way, the direct flights between the two countries are expanded year by year, and I hope that Vietnamese tourists will have more experience to enjoy the rural areas in Japan. And next, regarding the expansion of visitors from Vietnam to Japan, one of the things that Vietnamese people often point out is visas. With these visas, we are working to improve the convenience. For example, for the group tour, some of the documents required for the visa applications are waived, or electronic application are introduced for and travel products of the travel agencies designated by the hotel. And for the individual tours, multiple visas are issued up to 5 years, and we hope that you will make most of it. In addition, we are also promoting the public relation for inbound travel in cooperation with the local JNTOs. Most recently, we have a receptions for the travel agencies September, then 30th of September, to convey the charm of Japan rural areas. So this is what we have done over the last time. On the other hand, the expansions of the visitors from Japan to Vietnam has not yet returned to the level before the pandemic. As you are aware, this due to the decline of the overseas travel by Japan, not only in Vietnam, but in response to this, Japanese government also working to promote the overseas travels for Japan, and Vietnam has been selected as the priorities countries as a destination. On the other hand, I think the reality is that many Japan people are not similar with the Vietnam tourist destination. We believe that the most important thing is to let more Japan people know about Vietnam tourist destination. We hope we can work together to achieve this. I also think that one way to get Japanese people interested in Vietnam is to use the historical connections between Japan and Vietnam, especially 400 years ago during the era of the Red Ship travel. Japan was actively trading with Hoi An, and a Japanese town was established in Hoi An. Princess Anio, a love story between Japan merchants and Vietnam princess from these eras, continue to be reproduced at the festival and in Nagasaki. In addition, this story was also reproduced at the operas for the diplomatic relations between Japan and Vietnam for 50 years anniversaries. In addition, it has been performed in the Opera House Nagasaki since August. I hope that such efforts will continue to spread, that more Japanese people will come to Vietnam. Finally, I would like to conclude my remark with wishing the participation of this event has a new idea for initiative that will lead to the creations of the added value for the tourism sectors, for sustainable development. And finally, I would like to wish you good health, good luck, and happiness. I would like to conclude my presentation here. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Yu Tonaki, Ambassador Extraordinary Plenipotentiary of Japan, and I would like to invite our speakers today. And the topic today is creative tourism for sustainable development. And there will be 4 speakers, and I hope that you will spend no more than 15 minutes for your presentation, and the Q&A will be at the end of the panel discussion. And if you have questions, you can send your questions through chat box through Zoom. And I would like to invite Mr. Hoàng Đạo Bảo Cẩm, Head of Tourism Research Department, Vietnam Institute of Culture, Arts, Sports and Tourism, to the stage. And please welcome.
Mr. Ito, the Japanese ambassadors, the ambassadors of Japan to Vietnam, Mr. Chung Khánh, the Director General of Vietnam National Administrations of the Tourism, Mr. Okuda, the President of the GTTRI, Mr. Nguyễn Thu Phương, the Directors of VICAST. It's my honor to share with you about the creative tourism development in Vietnam. I believe that before talking about the creative tourism, I would like to go briefly for about the development of the Vietnamese tourism over the last 30 years, from the 1994, when it was the first time we received 1 million visitors. We have more than 400,000 hotels, and over the last 30 years, with 5 generations of the Director General, and today we have Mr. Nguyễn Trung Khánh as the Director General of Vietnam National Administrations of the Tourism. We have around 1 million hotels, and we aim to have more than 20 million in 2025. It's totally impossible, and we are very honored and also proud that we have our contribution for the achievements of Vietnamese tourism over the last years. And with that development, we could see that there is some of the challenges of the Vietnamese tourism. Firstly, it is the effectiveness of the tourism in Vietnam is not really high. We work a lot. However, that's the Vietnamese people, the benefits for the Vietnamese people or for the business is not that high, not equal to the efforts. And also the spendings of the tourists is not high as expected, even though that we always aim for the high market segment, but we are not very successful. The durations of the tourists are not very long, and we might not know how to retain the tourists, and so that the tourists, they will come back to Vietnam, and they should be happy to come back to Vietnam. And especially the return tourists is not very high. Before it was really low, but now there's some of the improvement. However, it's not that high in comparison with other countries like Japan and Thailand. That there's many reasons for that. There are many reasons that are related to the limitations of the tourism in Vietnam. First of all, is that our tourism activities mostly focus on sightseeing and leisures. That is quite passive. Vietnam tourism is lack of the product that is more active. So that's why the tourists come to Vietnam for one time and they might not want to come back to Vietnam. And however, Vietnam also has some of the improvement. We could see that the services in Vietnam has improved, especially the infrastructures. The infrastructures has developed quite strongly. With the support of Japan, and also the Vietnamese product is more diversified. But however, we also notice that there's a lot of room for the development as well as to be more sustainable. So that's why the project to restructure tourism in Vietnam and also the tourism planning over the last year had proposed 2 main things. First, that is the sustainable development. Secondly, there's innovation for the tourism products. And for the for the innovation of the products from the sightseeings and passive manners into more active experience with local people, with the solution that Vietnam to be more innovative. So there should be the requirement for the tourisms that should be more suitable with the market demand. So when we talk about innovative tourism, what is innovative tourism? According to the Professor Richard Raymond, creative tourism, it bring about the tourism, the opportunity to bring the opportunity for the tourists that they can learn and experience. And creative tourism is part of the cultural tourism, and apart from enjoy it passively, they can actively participate in the activities. The creative tourism can relate it to the making pottery, making the product of the craft villages, and so on. There are some of the differences with the traditional tourisms and creative tourisms. I would like to emphasize 5 differences. First is the roles of the tourists. So instead of passive enjoyments, as I mentioned earlier, the tourists can participate actively with the local peoples. And secondly, from this activity, there will be interactions with the local people, and the service providers will be stronger and more active, and the experience of the tourists would be more high quality, and the value is what distinguish between the traditional tourisms and also the creative tourisms. And with the creative tourism, that's we can exploit more intangible heritage. And finally, that is a meaning to the locals areas. And the local area with the traditional tourism, mostly they just get the indirect benefit. However, with the creative tourisms, the local areas will get the direct benefit. The relationship between creative tourism and sustainable tourism, we could see that creative tourism that help us to diversify our products of Vietnam, and especially create more job opportunities with the added values. And from that, we can increase the income for the people and also increase the income for the businesses. Secondly, not only tangible heritage, but we also have the opportunity to preserve and also continue the intangible heritage and strengthen the community's engagement, and as well as to increase or improve the experience of the tourists, improve the qualities of the visitor experience. Also in this presentation, I would like to share with you some case study of the creative tourism in Vietnam. Firstly, is that the Đường Lâm ancient village in Sơn Tây, with the initiative of some of the artists such as Mr. Fast, Mr. Hai Chair. There is some of the arts workshops that tourists can can make the painting, make the straw, wood lanterns, and especially the international tourists are very interested in those activities. And with that activity, instead of they are they just receive the the tourists as like in the museum, but they can actually interact with the tourists. Secondly, it's Bachang village, Bachang pottery village. I believe that you are more aware about Bachang village. So aside from producing the potteries as earlier, and Bachang can bring about a more positive experience of and experience can joy to make pottery, create personal products, and experience traditional arts. And they can actually can join some cooking class. And now another example is Hội An. Hội An is the stories of history of the relationship between Japan and Vietnam as shared by His Excellencies Mr. Ito, ambassadors of Japan to Vietnam, with more than 50 craft villages. And not only the creative tourism in Vietnam, but it also reflects viva the agriculture, the products of the creative. Of the creative tourism that have there's the problem of the over tourisms. And next is the Mekong Deltas. Mekong Deltas is where we have the creative tourism, community tourism, agricultural tourism over the last years. And that is the products of the Mekong Delta. Not only the destinations, but also the businesses, big businesses in tourism provide service, creative services. I can give you an example such as Vietnam Travel. Vietnam Travels is one of the biggest tour operators in 2025. They provide the series of the tours in Hanoi. For example, the Hanoi Creative Tour 2024, aside from the creative tourism, that we also have the creative cities and urban city. We have I believe that you remember that the Zone 9 is one of the hub for the creativeness of Hanoi. This Zone 9 was very successful, but due to some safety issues and also some issue with the policies. But we want to remind you about this location that Hanoi has our effort in create the created hub as a Zone 9. And finally, we want to propose some of the solution that help us the creative tourism in Vietnam. Firstly, is a tourism and policies with the example of the Zone 9 and other. We could see that to build the legal framework to support the creative tourism that can help us, can help them for the credit access, and from that we also can have some project creative tourism projects, and we need to support the local communities participate in the providing the services, provide them the skill, so that's how they can communicate with the tourists, so they can be more innovative. Secondly, the products and services. We want to emphasize that for the human resources is very important. So that's why the development of the human resource is the keystone for the tourism, such as the skill trainings and serving the tourists, as well as the products is very important. So what I'm trying to say here is creative tourism, the products. The products in designing the product is very important. So this is one of the recommendations we can give to you. And the next recommendation is conservation and environment. So aside we have the tangible heritage, we also have intangible heritage. It's very important to conserve the intangible heritage, and we believe that this is quite difficult because it's intangible heritage, we cannot see it. This is a very important role, and we hope that with the creative tourism that can help us to conserve the tangible and intangible heritage in general. And finally, It's a solution to reduce the impact. We could see that aside from the tools and also the technologies, we can supervise the environment's impact, and also with the supervisions of the people of the local communities. That is very important. So that's why we encourage the people in provide the products in supervising for the tourism, and we can see that the creative tourism also bring about the benefit and have to preserve the heritage, and we also need to have the mechanisms in order to support the creative tourism, the commitment from the government and the international community. So in order to have the sustainable tourism policies, it's very important that will help us for the creative tourism and promote the creative tourism, such as in products and services and human resources. It's super important as well. That's thank you for listening. Thank you so much, Mr. Hoàng Đạo Bảo Cầm from VICAST. And now next we would have the presentation from Japan. We would like to invite Mr. Suzuki Hijoko from Japan. She will share us about the management of the destinations. The floor is on yours. She is from Japanese Tourism Agency. Vâng, xin chào tất cả mọi người. Trong cái ngày hôm nay tôi sẽ chia sẻ một chút với chúng ta về những cái tình trạng hiện tại. So today I would explain about the current state and the challenges of the tourism in Vietnam and how Japan Tourism Agency is working towards a sustainable development. On top of that, we will introduce the concept of the sustainable community development with tourism as starting point, guided by the Transport and Research Institutes. We could see that's what Japan has do for the sustainable development. And after that, I would like to introduce about the sustainable tourism that guided by the Transport Research Institute. And finally, is a case of the locality in Japan, Gifu province. The number of the tourists visiting Japan has recovered after the COVID-19, and over the last years it had gained the growth in recent years. On the other hand, as you can see on the slide, 70% of the tourists are concentrated in the urban areas. The issue related to the over-tourism and manner becoming appearance, the price increase that has such a negative impact on the life of the residents, as well as the rising price in the hotel as a burden on the landscape and natural environments, and decrease the tourist satisfactions. And however, if we can work on the sustainable tourism, is it to attract, and it's not clear what to do to address the challenges. The Japan Tourism Agency collaborated with the UN Tourism to create the JSTSD in 2020 to clarify what the local community should do. So the JSTSD summarized what the community should do in 4 areas, namely management, social economics, culture, and environment. A total of 113 items to be done in 4 areas has been compiled. Japan Tourism Agency strategies aim to increase the number of the areas that are working on this guideline, and as of August of this year, 90 areas has been certified in order to promote the sustainable initiative. Certified region receive the preference treatment, such as adding the point to the application for subsidies, and a system is being put in place to evaluate the region that are committed to the sustainability. So far, we have introduced the initiative to promote the sustainable tourism in Japan. Now, I would like to emphasize here is that the purpose is not the tourism promotion itself. Tourism is one of the means to pass on the region to the future for the future generations. The sustainability of tourism is not based on the tourism alone, on the sustainabilities of the region itself, such as the local population, industry, lifestyle, cultures, and natural environment. And in Japan, the population is currently declining and aging rapidly, and the stagnations of the local economy and the decline of the vitalities of the local community has become a serious issue. In addition, we need to address the broader global challenges, such as achieving SDG and addressing the climate change. Now, I would like to share with you when consider tourism as it is essential to first focus on making the region sustainable for the futures. Therefore, from here, we should harmonize the things. So from that, Therefore, I will broaden my perspective and talk about how to make the entire region sustainable while utilizing the tourism. The purpose of the sustainable tourism communities management is to maintain a community, community to maintain communities, and where can people continue to live with a peace of mind for the year to come. To this end, it's necessary to ensure the good balance between the three perspectives of employment and income, economy, region connection, and culture, society and culture with harmony with the nature's environment. In other words, this diagram will show us the importance of the middle part of economic, social, environment, and sustainable to be fulfilled. That is not the short-term goal, but a way of thinking, creating the foundation for the future inter-regions. So to that end, it is essential to all parties to involve, come together. What region should look like in 10, 50 years or 100 years. There are various approaches creating the sustainable community, such as welfare, agriculture, but in the perspective of utilizing tourism is also very important. So for the why we should start with tourism. Tourism is an industry with the base, why base that affect not only the economy aspect but also aspect in the region such as social, cultural, environment. And now through the products of the tourism, we should aim for the. However, the tourism is impacted by other external factors. So when the decline of the tourism is a certain period, that it directly impacts the business and employment at the locality. So that's why the tourism development need to consider us as a tool to develop sustainable of the local areas. So that's why UN tourism and also the JTTRI They has issues or documents. The handbook developed by JTA and UNWTO Regional Support Office for Asia and Pacific draw on the UN Tourism Guidebook and incorporate with the recent example. This document outlines the necessary step in realizing the sustainable area management. So it means that it's going to reduce the impact on the local areas. However, there's a lot of the locality they don't know where to start. That's why the ZTA that has compiled the handbook. The handbook promotes the evidence-based approach and enhancing the resident quality. So the localities are aware that's what they need to do in order to achieve their goal. The key here is not just about the big planning, but we need to do it by step and to build a consensus collaboration within the region. Tourism as a means for the regional development and a framework it provides for the local community to share its own future visions and initiatives step by step. It's important to proceed with a sustainable goal management while taking step forming consensus rather than suddenly making a big plan. That's why we need to have the 11 step in the 3 phrases. First, it's the preparation state. We clarify the purpose why we're doing this initiative as a system, but who will be involved and how this will might. And next is the phrase A. We will share the future vision. We will discuss what region will look like in 50 or 100 years. On top of that, we organize the resources that the community should value and issues that we need to be solved. And next is a plan B. Plan B should be the initiative and indicators and setting based on the differences between the future's vision and current situation. Decide which issues should be prioritized and set indicator to see if the effort is progressing, is going well or not. The metrics become a common language for the stakeholder to understand the situation in the same language. Finally, is a phrase C, implement, evaluate, and improve. We measure the effectiveness based on the set of indicators, based on the result, and we will cycle to improve our effort. With the reflection and improvement mechanism, the community can continue to learn over the long time. The guide also provides a supporting tool that the communities that can use when actually proceeding. Stakeholder mapping to visualize the stakeholders, governments, residents, and businesses. Example questionnaire to grasp the opinions of awareness of the residents and stakeholders. We also have the list of the indicators and record format to measure the result of the efforts. The introductions of the international certification system and initiatives such as green destinations and all of the practical tool to avoid the situations of not knowing where to start. And now I'd like to introduce to you the Gifu province located between Tokyo and Osaka and has a population under 2 million and is surrounded by mountain and has river and is home of the traditional industry such as woodworking and washi and making craft. However, in recent years, there have been the voices saying that people come for tourism, but not much given back to the communities, and a number of the tourists has increased too much, and the pace of daily life has become disturbed. So, in addition, due to the decline birth rate and aging population, there are also the issue with no leaders in the traditional industry. So with the tourism will bring the livelihood to the rhythm of the people life in the phrase with organizing and sharing the values as a part of the Gifu project. We work with local resident and business to reorganize the resources, and we also established a department of jazz SCD jazz promotion within the province office, established a system for the cross-sectoral cooperation between the multiple departments such as tourism, agriculture, forestry, education, welfare, and a system for cooperation between the multiple departments such as tourism, agriculture, forestry, and its characteristic by that tourism is positions as a theme related to entire region and rather than a single industry. And in the phrase B, this materializations of the initiative, setting the indicators based on the GSTSD. We have developed traditional cultural experience tourism, and we also have the phrase C, evaluation improvement based on the set educator. So the result is that boosting the tourism by strengthening the regional appeal and promoting overnight travels and bring the benefit also thanks to the participants of the residents that they can understand more about the traditional value, not only bring the economic benefit, also to preserve the local tradition cultures, focus province reduce the environmental impact, including waste reduction. So that is have developed tourism as a new pillars as the aero industry by identifying and communicating in various new resources. So from that we can build a sustainable communities. And finally, what I want to share here is that tourism is an opportunity. That's where all the residents can think about the futures and can find the mechanisms where they can collaborate. And our guidebook, we also have the Vietnamese versions. That's why I really hope that VICAST and also other can take it into references. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your presentation. And next, I would like to invite Mr. Phùng Quang Thắng, Chairman of Vietnam Green Tourism Association, to the stage with the topic Creative Tourism from Cultural Experience to Sustainable Development. Dear our distinguished guests and our participants to our online event today, my name is Phùng Quang Thắng. I am Chairman of Vietnam Green Tourism Association, and the abbreviation is VNTG. So the people know our activities as the VNTG. I'm so pleased to be here today and to share it with you with the topic creative tourism from cultural and sustainable development. And this is a really this is a topic that we take interest to develop it, and we would like to show it by very tangible products, so that we can show you the products, how our tourism agencies show our products. You see that on the screen are the images. You see the different phases and time that we put the products in the screen. This picture, we see this is the northwest mountainous areas. The people coming here and they only feel the sightseeing, but in these areas we see that many cultural values that I want the tourists can have more. And when the tourism agencies have the products, I want them to have more feelings. Now in the image you can see the on the rice field, and we have performing arts and traditional musical instruments in the northwest. It's our products. to show our cultural values. And this is the VNTJ products, and we built it with the topic from the farm to the dining table, and the tourists can join in the farm, and they can have a cooking experience or harvesting or planting things, and with cleaning products, and such an interesting experience with the like cooking experience. And with this picture, it shows that this is a historical monument of the Hanoi capital, and this becomes a performance on stage, and we want to preserve the memories for the later generations. We use the historical monument to show it to people, and the tourists can feel this in a different ways, and they really take a keen interest in these historical stories. And this is very specific tourism products that we are taking into action. And we see the Hoàng Thành Citadel, and when the tourists come inside the Hoàng Thành Citadel, we see that a small from Lý Công Uẩn, king, leaving the Thăng Long Citadel to Hanoi, and this is performed
And this is one that you can go to the centers of the imperial citadel. So it means that the tourists can see some of the clips, and they can can see it by their naked eyes, and that is very different. And the tourists can participate actively. It means they need to solve the puzzles or the quiz about the imperial citadel. So from this experience, we could see that the changes in the demand of the tourists from just sightseeing to experience. We talk a lot about the experience. It's not just about the experience, but the tourists can be the co-creators of the tours. With the assessment and the feedback, we could see that the humans is in the centers, or the centers is a human centers, and from that we can be creative. And for Vietnam, we think that with a lot of our relics and cultural heritage, the craft, we have the 54 ethnic minorities, and Vietnam has become the destination for the cultural experience in the creative manners. We believe that the businesses that they can go with this way, and from that we can design more products. And we have some of the analysis related to the relevant information. Now with the creative tourism, what we need to do, so we can make the tourists from the audience into the co-creators. So that is for the tour operators. So this is changes from the sightseeing, they need to participate, and just from knowing, they can feel it, and from memories to create. And but that is mean that they will be the co-creators of the tour, and from that they can remember better in their mind, in their heart. So with that, we produce our products. We also have the conclusions after the research. We have to change our mindset from the fact that we only exploit the natural resources. We need to create the mechanisms where the tourists can be co-creator, and from that it will be more sustainable. And that is our thinking what we have done in reality. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the cultural dance in Lào Cai. It's called Xòe dance in Vietnamese, and this product has been developed a long time ago. But mostly it's just about the art of the folk dance, and the lighting makes the dance to be more vibrant. We can see that there's a lot of people here. These are all the local people, but they are very excited to participate in the folk dance or Xòe dance. So this is the very meaningful products. Now we aim for the tourism that is more creative and more experience. So this is the products in Hua Lo prison or Hua Lo relics. For example, one of the think about this product is a night tour. When you come to the relic, they will put a stamp on you, and this stamp is mean comrade. So what if you want to know what comrade is, you need to experience what it is. This is a product that's a lot of the tourists that they are interested, and they need to register long before in advance. And this is another product. This is a very difficult to develop products. This is related to the literals. So this is the inspiration for the literals for the young people. So with all of the people we invite, for example, the two people participate here. They are quite famous in the literal field. The children also can participate, can creative in Vietnamese literatures, as well as have the different experience. Another thing is that this is in tour in Ha Thai, lacquer art. Aside from participate in the painting workshop, they can take their product back home. This is what we are doing. And another product, this is a craft village, making instant sticks. We reorganize it to make it a tourist destination and attract quite a lot of the international tourists. And with that meaning, and also the products that I introduced, we can see here is as a creative tourism. That is a new thing. So that is the meaning. Now, coming back for the learned lessons. First of all, the creative is need to base on the local identities. So that is the first learned lesson. Secondly, the community is the center of the creativity. Human is the center of the creativity. The artisans can participate in the process to provide the consultation for the tour operators, and the technologies and education. From that we can be creative. And finally, we need to have the criteria, so we can assess whether the products is creative or not. We have the sustainable measurement. So we got, due to the time constraint, I only can share with you that much. We can have the model or pilot, and then we scale up. For the recommendation or orientations, we want to build a network of the creative tourism products. And secondly, in order to have the network of the products, it means that we need to have a lot of new products. And thirdly, we need to standardizing the creative tourisms of Vietnam for the tour operators. And finally, in order to develop the creative tourism centers, I believe that all of the provinces that has their own creative tourism centers. And finally, we have some recommendations. I believe that one of the guest speaker mentioned about the recommendation. One of the most important things that is that we need to have to apply the technologies and digital transformation in the creative tourism products. Aside from the applying the cultures is very important. We also need to apply the technology, and with the discussions we can clarify on that. And finally, the message is that creative tourism is not only to improve the destinations but also improve the spiritual life of the local people and spreading the humanistic values to nations and over the world. And we believe that creative tourism that can bring the new life into our heritage, and it needs to go with the sustainable manner to ensure that the heritage is preserved. And in it, we need to have the criteria, such as need to aim for the sustainability. That all of my presentation. Thank you so much for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Phùng Quang Thắng, and I would like to invite Mr. Nishino Yoshiyuki, Secretary General, ASEAN City Tourism Association, to the stage, and with the topic challenges in developing tourism in a craftsmanship city. Hello everyone, my name is Nishino, the Secretary General of ASEAN City Tourism Association. Today I'm so happy to have the chance to speak today. I would like to get started right away. Today I would like to talk about the title of Tourism Town Development Challenge of the Manufacturing Town. ASEAN City is a manufacturing city with a thriving traditional and advanced industry, and both with highest shipment value of manufactured goods in the prefecture. With very famous in craftsmanship and production. However, due to changes in social conditions, various issues have emerged in traditional industries. I would like to talk about how we are tackling this issue and whether we are taking on the challenge of creating tourist town. Ashizen is located in the center of Fukui Prefecture with a population of 80,000 people, with 3 hours from Tokyo and 1 hour 30 minutes from Osaka. The number of tourists who came to Atchison City in 2024, 4.3 million people, and many people come by car from nearby. And in recent years, the number of tourists interested in traditional craft has increased. So why are more and more people interested in traditional crafts? We can see that it's because within 10 kilometers of Atchison City, there are production for Atchison washi, Atchison cutlery, and lacquerware, and a drawer, chest of drawers, and it's a very rare area in Japan. And we have 5 craftsmanship cities, and it's really rare. Until 2014, craftsmanship of traditional crafts were engaged only in making products. However, in 2015, traditional craftsmen started an event called Renew to revitalize traditional industries through tourism. Renew is a 3-day event in October where visitors can visit the traditional craft workshop for free, experience production, and listen to lectures by creators. And this event attracted 50,000 people from all over the country to visit such a big number.
次に私たちが目指す観光についてご説明いたします。越前市は観光振
Well,
興
we
プ
are
ランという計
now
画を5年
uh,
ごとに
introduction to five surrounding traditional craft production, and we have many more plans, tourism plans, and we formulates a plan called tourism promotion plan every 5 years and promotes various tourism businesses. And industrial tourism will be promoted with the aim of contributing to the sustainability of the region, with the aim of improving the attractiveness of the region, promoting settlement, and fostering pride in the region. You see the picture with the vision in the future vision. We will in the culture of Echizen City, which has been alive for a long time, such as traditional crafts such as Echizen washi, and improving the attractiveness of the workshops and craftsmanship as tourism content. Customer who come to the tourism initiative purchase the local products to improve the economy by distributing tourism consumption, and it also contributes to the maintenance of businesses and the development of culture. The idea is to circulate the initiative and make it sustainable. The reason for this future vision is that there are various issues with many local resources in Echizen, and we thought that we would use the power of tourism uh, and to develop creative tourism to solve them. That's the strategy that we are now taking it into action. With this approach, we decided to solve the problems faced by local resources with the power of tourism. We call it craft tourism in Atchison City. And we want that in order to solve these problems, we focus on four problems, or when we apply to the with the low production and no errors. We shorted Today I will focus on Atchison washi in traditional crafts. In 1995, Atchison washi had 83 offices and producing 10.2 billion yen. However, in 2024, 231 people worked at 44 business sites, and production fell to 1.9 billion yen. In particular, the value of production has fallen by 82%, and it is a very serious situation when 30 years of price increases are taken into account. In order to continue Echizen washi for 1,500 years, in the future, 2,000 and 3,000 years, we have decided to create Echizen washi as a tourism content and find a clue to solve the problem. And to implementation of large-scale promotion and mass attraction, we have failed to do that because it does not have a fixed order. I will talk about the failure examples to our tourism efforts using Atchison washi in order to let more people in Japan know about traditional crafts such as Atchison washi. We have developed a travel plan that allows tourists who want to walk around the workshop in a tie-up with a domestic bus tour. And in addition, posters were posted at stations in major cities, and PR was carried out. We believe that spreading Atchison City's traditional crafts throughout Japan was the most important goal. And we see that the number of tourists has increased, and it was successful. However, the area around the workshop was overflowing with many people, and it became over tourism. Tourists whose main purpose was walking did not listen to explanations of traditional craft, just passed by and did not buy products, which was the worst result of tourism, causing harm to washi paper production area. Naturally, we were criticized by traditional craftsmen and caused a situation where they were disgusted by tourism. And we said we apologized to the craftsmanship. And what is needed to solve local issues and what measures are necessary to make traditional craft sustainable and find clues to the solution together with the people of the workshop. As the first step to solve the problem, we conducted a questionnaire survey on the acceptance of tourists at the washi workshop. Of course, after some failures, they answered that they would not accept tourists in the future due to this failure. On the other hand, there was also a workshop that said, you can think a little more with us. We went to the business office that showed understanding of accepting tourists and listened to them in detail. As a result, I realized that the cause of this failure was that there was no rules for visiting the workshop. We did not have an effective guideline for the tourists, and therefore each workshop we have a specific rules and fixed schedule. They have to book in advance, and we have to limit the number of tourism due to the acceptance of the workshop. So the scale of the workshop is different, and first we instead of we doing it for free, we charge the tourists to respect the time of the craftsmanship and the artisans, and exchange opinions with local businesses on the importance of industrial tourism and reaffirm the value of washi, artisan washi in Japan. And while discussing with the people in workshop, and now we receive such, we have lessons. We understood that traditional crafts that we were creating as tourism content were their jobs and main occupations. They needed considerable benefits to accept tourists until they stopped doing so. Therefore, we thought that it was important to reduce the burden on the workshop on the receiving side and find the benefits of acceptable. First, we decided to set the customer target we should aim to, and we classified it into 3 tiers in order of the highest per capita consumption of tourists. We focused on top tier who understand and sympathize with the value of traditional crafts and can expect beneficial initiatives for both production areas and visitors. We are working on this top layer by dividing it into professional and high value added travelers, so-called wealthy inbound tourists. The professional layer refers to the group that does business with traditional craftsmen, such as companies that handle traditional crafts as interior materials and creators who create works of art. High-value travelers are people who show interest in long-lasting traditional crafts and spend a lot of money on things they believe that are valuable. We see that our products in artisan washi artisan, they are a very prospective tourist. Now we have a shops and system of shops, and we have different shops to selling washi paper in Japan. Now it has led to, and we have been at the same time we creating tours for creators who want to see the sides of traditional crafts around ASEAN City and consider using them. Next, the initiative of high value added travelers. In order to have people correctly understand the history and technology of artisan traditional craft, we are working comprehensively while cooperating with business and utilizing subsidies from Japan Tourism Agency. For example, we are steadily advancing the process of experiencing in the workshops and eating at sushi restaurants and using traditional crafts, developing accommodation facilities that use traditional crafts for decoration and materials, training guides who can accurately interpret traditional crafts in multiple languages, and exchanging opinions with monitor after the fact. They have led to an increase in customer attraction little by little.
And from that, we will find the suitable strategies. So, in order to attract the tourists, is not only in the first options, but we also have the applications of the craft in the businesses. We invite the expert how to introduce the traditional craft. Aside from that, we work with the washi paper, and they can join the exhibitions and also introduce the tours and business connections. And also we have the tours for the designers, and also that's how they can apply the washi paper in their projects. And thanks to this networking, that we can have the new orders. And finally, these activities had bring about the effectiveness, and we can share some of the example. And thank you so much for listening.
Thank you for your presentation. Now we creative tourism, and now we will have 10-minute break, and you can have tea break outside of the hall, and we will be back here 10:35. We're back here at 10:35, and the panel discussion will start. Dear distinguished guests, our panel discussion will start very shortly, and online participants can send questions through the chat box on Zoom. If you have any questions or comments related to this topic or to collaborative activities between two countries, today is a valuable opportunity as stakeholders from the tourism sectors of Vietnam and Japan gather together. If we cannot answer your questions, if you want to receive your questions, and please state your name, your organization, and your email address before 10:11 a.m. By Vietnam time and 10 p.m. Japan time. Today's panel discussion will be moderated by Dr. Trịnh Lê Anh, Head of Event Management Department, Faculty of Tourism, University of Social Sciences and Humanities, Vietnam National University, Hanoi. Next, we are pleased to introduce today's speakers. Mrs. Đỗ Cẩm Thơ, Head of Planning and Finance Department, Vietnam National Administration of Tourism. And we are now have our speakers, Mr. Phùng Quang Thánh, Chairman of Vietnam Green Tourism Association, Mr. Hoàng Đạo Bảo Cầm, Head of Tourism Research Department, Vietnam Institute of Culture, Arts, Sports and Tourism, Mrs. Suzuki Hiroko, Director, International Affairs Office, International Tourism Department, Japan Tourism Agency, and Mr. Nishino Yoshiyuki, Secretary, General Atchison City Tourism Association, and Mr. Sawano Bori Suguhiko, Director of Jalan Research Center, and he will be joining us online. These are all our delegates participating in our panel discussion, and the discussion will consist of 4 parts, and we'll have the self-introduction session and followed by the discussion. And then the topic for today's discussion are how can creative tourism contribute to the development of sustainable tourism at destination. And from your position and role, what activities do you plan to undertake to promote the creation of added value through creativity in the tourism sector? Now, my great honor to invite Dr. Trịnh Lê Anh to moderate the discussion.
First of all, I would like to send my greeting to all of you. And on the screen here, so I didn't pay attention to the screen, so I didn't stand up on time. So I would like to send my greeting to all of you. So distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to sit and to discuss with you. So it's going to be the panel discussions. I believe that it's going to be very insightful. And we are talking about what is very trending. Tourism also had going through the transformations. Before that's going to the further discussions, I would like to share and maybe all of us can spend 1 or 2 minutes to introduce yourself and your experience about the creative tourisms. We have the 3 guest panelists here, aside from Mr. Hoàng Đạo Bảo Cầm, Mr. Suzuki, Mr. Phùng Quang Thắng, and Mr. Nishiro from Ichizen City Tourism Associations. We all know of these guest speakers in the previous part. There are 2 new people. It's me and Mr. Đỗ Cẩm Thơ and Mr. Sawan Torbi, Director of Jalan Research Centers, and he joined us online. And 3 of us will spend about 1 minute to introduce ourselves before we come to the further discussions. And for me, I'm the Faculty of the Tourism, the University of Social Science and Humanitarian Vietnam National University. My experience with creative tourism is that the first definition of the creative tourism when I knew was in 2005, and 5 years ago we were aware of that definition by the group of the researchers called Web Research, and those researchers was really supported by the by the scientists, and we could see that it had become the trends, and not only for the academics, also in the practice as well. In the practice, there's a lot of the research believe that this is a trend. This is the 3rd generations of the cultural tourism. The very first generations it's about sightseeing, that would be very passive. The second generations is that's going into discovering the lifestyle of the local people of the destination and pay more attention to the real feeling. And for the creative tourisms, the academics and we agree that this is a 3rd generation of the cultural destination. The tourists are not only the passive, but also they are actively and also can be the co-creators for the experience in the cultural tourism. So this is from what I learned about the cultural tourism. I hope that I have enough of the background to talk to you today. And once again, I would like to say thank you to participate in this conference. I will try to do my job as best possible within the time constraint, and we have about 1 hour, and I can manage the time. And now I would like to spend 2 minutes for Mr. Đỗ Cẩm Thơ. Mr. Đỗ Cẩm Thơ is head of planning and finance department from Vietnam National Administration of the Tourism. I believe that you are the researchers and you have a lot of experience in the tourism, so the floor is on yours. Thank you so much, Ms. Liang, with your introductions. And I would like to send my greeting to all of you here, as well as the introductions of Ms. Liang. My name is Đỗ Cẩm Thơ. I'm the head of the planning and finance of the Vietnam National Administration of the Tourism. My job is basically to provide the consultations for the planning, as well as researching on the science and the statistics on the tourism. However, with my role, I have the 18 years experience of 18 years of experience in VICAST, and we are on here with the organizations of the VICAST and also JTTRI, and in my research, as well as my consultations related to the planning policies, anything related to the academy. Just have a lot of the conferences and management, and also the future plan for the tourism. And for us, we believe that the creative tourism, aside from researching and studying the trends, we could see that it's happened very fast through the different models and also the tourism products, creative products. And when Mr. Liang introduced, I just think that we, in my research and with the presentation, we could see that mostly we create the cultural values and the cultural heritage, and especially intangible heritage. When Mr. Liang discussed with us, and Ms. Liang, we also work with together on the research with the title that's tourism associations with the sports events. So this is probably one of the way to develop it. It's not only in the cultural events, we can expand it to the sport events, because creative tourism is mean that we will bring the tourists, they can experience and also create the values. So that's why the sport tourism can be one of the options, and they can practice those sports. It can be an option for us. Thank you so much, Mr. Đỗ Cẩm Thơ. And now I would call Mr. Cẩm Thơ is a sister Cẩm Thơ. So that is for the informality. So that I would like to summarize what Ms. Cẩm Thơ just shared earlier. And now I would like to introduce to you Mr. Sawan Nuburi, the direct managers of Jalan's research centers. For me, he is one of my acquaintance, because for the second conference, he shares a lot in the second conference. So hello, Mr. Sawan Subari, you have 2 minutes to introduce about yourself. Vâng, xin chào tất cả mọi người. Xin chào tất cả mọi người. Tôi là my name is Sarah Sobori. I'm from the Zalan Research Centers, and today I cannot join offline, and it's my deep regret this event for the first and the second time I participate, and I can learn a lot. And the third event, I really interested, and I also want to listen to the informations from this event. When I listen to the presentations of distinguished guests, of the guest speakers, we could see that creative tourism can contribute a lot to the sustainable development for the destination, and we hope that we can listen more to the useful information in this conference. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Sawa Bori, the manager of Jalan Research Centers. I hope that the online platform will not prevent the exchange of the information, and I hope that you will have a lot of the useful feedback. Distinguished guests and gentlemen, there's a two part for the panel discussion. First, we talk about the contributions of the creative tourism in sustainable development, and secondly we will talk about what would be the action plan for the creative tourism. At the first part, we talk a lot about the roles of the creative tourism, and from the role what are you going to do, what would be your suggestion, recommendation, so that we can promote the values in the creative tourism. And now we will start with the very first part. We will discuss about the role of the creative tourism in sustainable tourism in the destinations. Sustainable development or sustainable tourism is considered one of the concepts of the tourism has been widely accepted, but however the definition of it is still quite vague. It's hard to put into the practice because they practitioners are not the expert. They might not follow the KPIs or the guidelines for their practice. So that's why they need to have the consultation, and also the access should be simplified. So with the creative tourism, how does it contribute? I will not present my opinion. First of all, I would like to ask Ms. Đỗ Cẩm Thơ to share your opinion. The floor is on yours. So through the presentations of the experts in academic and also from the tour operators, we could see that we realize that the creative tourism is a new approach. As Mr. Liang shared, it is changes in the form and also the demand of the tourist from the mass tourism to another form that's experience the cultures and co-create the cultural values. When we can create the cultural values, that we can exploit or make use of the cultural values, especially when we go deep into the intangible heritage or intangible cultures, and from that we can preserve. And secondly, it will create the job opportunities because it will attract the participations and also the owners of the heritage and the creative of the tour operation. So we will create the win-win situations for the stakeholders and with aim for the sustainable development. We believe that I want to share with you that we working Vietnam National Authority of the Tourism with my role. I'm work on a very important project. It's that I need to do the investigations on the tourism in general. So this is going to be the very big responsibilities when we work on the tourism law in the 2027. So I need to go to the different localities, and in localities they say, oh, we don't really have any resources. However, that's when we actually go deep into it, you can see that there's a lot of values and cultural values as well, intangible values that we can exploit for the tourism development. And after the training and the local people share with, oh, we have a lot of values and a lot of things that we can exploit from that. The important thing here is that that's how we can inventory the values and also integrated those values to bring it to the tourists. That is very important, and we believe that if we could do that, for sure, that we can create our competitiveness for the destination, the brand for the destination, the experience of the creative tourism can leave a very insightful experience if we just see and we forget it easily, but we can experience or we can take back our products, our work, then we will remember it for the long time as shared by Mr. Thang, and it will branding for that. And that is a few things that I want to share with you about the role of the creative tourism for the destination, and I would like to give the floor for other guest speakers. So that's Mr. Đỗ Cẩm Thơ as a role from the Vietnam National Authorities of the Tourism, and I would like to invite Mr. Suzuki, the Director of International Affairs Office, JTA. So what is your point of view here? Can you please share about the role of the creative tourism for the sustainable tourism to the destination? As you just listened the sharings of Ms. Cẩm Thơ about the creative tourism, I believe that creative tourism, first of all, we need to reconsider the resources, the available resources, and also listen to the feedback of the visitors. Over the last years, Vietnam, from Ms. Cẩm Thơ share, that is some of the market research and also the inventories of the resources. That is a very important. The creative tourism, if they want to promote the creative tourism in terms of the economic and social development, and in Japan, other localities, we focusing on the resources and also heritage of Japan. So not only the Japanese visitors, also international visitors are aware of the historical values and as well as the history of Japan through experience traditional dishes at the localities. That is also considers what we can do to promote the cultures, and that is what we've been doing in Japan. And now for the development of the creative tourism, there's differences between the locality. There's the gap, disparities between among the localities. So I believe that we also need to consider in what would be the strength of each locality in creative tourism, and from that we would exploit the strength, make use of the strength, and integrate it in the economic and social development of that regions. For example, the tourists might not be aware of the destination. They are not aware of the historical aspect, or they may not aware of the calories of that area. So we need to work on that to make sure that the tourists are aware of the history as well as the calories experience, and that is a very important in order for the sustainable development. What we need to do is that we need to have the sustainable strategies or plan. Thank you so much, Mr. Suzuki. That we could see that the resources and also the inventories of the resources and culture's value, that is very important, and we also need to categorize it into the different layers so that we can promote the strength of the locality. So I would like to ask Mr. Hoàng Đạo Bảo Cầm, representative of VICAST, what would be your opinion in the role of the creative tourism that contribute to the sustainable tourism in the destinations? What would be your opinions? Good morning, everyone. It's me, Cầm again. with the suggestion from the organizer, I already prepare creative tourism has a very important contribution to diversify the tourism products of Vietnam. Creative tourism also contribute to the added values of Vietnam tourism, and creative tourism can create the connections between the tourists and also the local people. So that is what I prepare. But now I want to expand it a little bit. Now today we witnessed and understand an example, a good example of Mr. Nishino about how to make a mass tourism products into the niche products with a high added value, and through analyzing the market and categorizing the tourist segments, and from that we can have appropriate approaches. So that is an excellent example. We also listen to Mr. and Suzuki-san shares about the inventories of the tourism's resources. But there are some of the tourism resources we might not be able to to carry out the inventory. So the keyword for the keyword today is creative tourism and creativities in the tourism product. So it means that we have to present our point of view. If you think that looking at the train in Hanoi can be an interesting product that is very creative of the people of the society, I'm sure that no researchers, no tour operators can think about watching the trains in Hanoi, and it now is a product that that can be missed when visiting in Hanoi. All of my friends visiting Hanoi, they ask me that they want to watch the train. I can't do that, so I also need to ask the tour operators or the tour guides to help me with that. So that it's a creativity. So that is a very interesting example of Hanoi. I believe that's what Mr. Hoàng Đạo Bảo Cầm just shared. That is going to provoke the discussion about the legal, the legal aspect of watching the train in the urban space like in Hanoi. And also there's a hot debate whether that we want to maintain the train coffee or watching the train in Hanoi. This is quite a bit of the debate topic for us, but that is quite interesting when Mr. Kam mentions about this product, and the creativity here is that the coincidence of the products is a co-creations of the tourists. So this is a very interesting topic for us to research, and I'm not going to expand this conference to the train coffees in Hanoi. And from Japanese side, the Japanese is working very well on analyzing the resources, and they categorize it into the different market segment. What would be for mass tourism? What would be for the creative tourism? And for example, in the washi paper of Mr. Nishiro from Incheon City, saying what Vietnam can do. Do we have any similar approach as in Japan? So this is very difficult thing for Vietnam to do, because we are not very good at create the added value of what we are having. We need to learn from Japanese people, because Japanese people know how to add the value. I would like to share with you the story about 30 years ago. I read an article. It's about the craft products of Japan. The artisan only sell about $10 to $15, and one person told him that if you sell this product around $10 to $15, that's all you can sell. You can't be rich if you can sell $200. The amazing thing here is that after the artisan increase their price from the $15 to $200, So the value is not about the economic values, but also many other like spiritual and historical values. So that is a very good example of Japan. And yesterday we also talked to Mr. Okuda-san. We share that's why Japanese whiskey Japan is so expensive over the last 10 to 15 years. The price has increased 5-fold or 6-fold. So that's it's the weaknesses of Vietnamese. I don't know what to do in order to add the value with our existing products, and whether that we should apply the technologies. How we going to do that? We need to aim for exploiting the uniqueness. We we should not have the similar products of the different destination, because each destination should have their own approaches. And from that we can increase the value. Once again, I want to emphasize here it's not just a creative tourism, but also the creativities in tourism products. It's by that way we can add the value for the product. Thank you so much. Mr. Hoàng Đạo Bảo Cầm Hoàng Đạo Bảo Cầm from VICAST. So he shared that that might be the answer for the second question. What would be the actions? I believe that there's a pioneer creative in tourism and creativities in products. So it means that we need, in order to have the creative tourism, we need to have the creative and innovation mindset. And we would appreciate with the presentation of Mr. Nishino Yoshiyuki-san a few minutes ago. He is a Secretary General of Ichizen City Tourism Association. You have a very detailed presentation. I would like to ask Mr. Nishiro-san, when you share this not only in your locality, so what would be your expectation of the creative tourism contribute to sustainable tourism in the destination? Vâng, xin cảm ơn rất là nhiều. Thank you so much in my presentation. I have shared some of the practical examples that Ichizen carry out. We believe that the craft, when we share the basic information related to the traditional products, usually they think that when they think about it, when they think about the craft village, they think that is the bachang pottery. So that is the overall awareness when we talk about the craft village or craft. And for me, I have another point of view. I think that this is not just a product. In order to have this product, we need to have the effort and also bring the values of that product, and we need to communicate the values to the tourists. For example, when we move from one province to another province, we use the express train Shinkansen. Each province has its own characteristics and values. So the ultimate goal here is that to find the strength and the uniqueness and exploit the uniqueness of the province is very important. For example, from Esakawa to Toyama, the transportation from province to province, we also need to effort to arrange it so that there would be the seamless transportation. For example, that they can go with the express trains. So does it mean sustainable development or sustainable tourism is very important? Usually people believe that when we develop the craft village, we might only think about the businesses, but we might not think about the demands of the tourists. But the trend has shifted. the tourists, when they come to the village, they can make the products what they like. They also can experience with the artisans. So that is a trend over the last years. Thank you so much, Mr. Mishino Yoshiyuki, with your thoughtful insights. And we think about the pictures in Vietnam, and from that we can make a comparisons. That is the feedback that if we only advertise to the public that we have the it is a cultural value such as the shawi paper, and we have the potteries, but that all they know. But if we need to take care of them from the departures, for example, that they can take the high speed or express trains, and then they go to the village and have their welcome in the village, the whole journeys from the departure to the destination. And we will not just only sell the product. So that is a very good insight from Nishiro-san. And also that we have an expert here that how to create the products is Mr. Phùng Quang Thắng from the VGTA. We listen to his presentation, and I believe that he might have more time to share with us about the practical example. And I would like to ask you, is that in the world and in Vietnam, do you think that own destination can be the creative tourism destinations? As in my presentation, I mentioned about the diversity, and I believe that the cultural industries, we have the 12 pillars, including the cultural tourism. And cultural tourism is would be the motivations for the tourism development in Vietnam. And with that cultures, we can develop the creative tourism products. That it's the approach of many tour operators and businesses in Vietnam with the creativities. Obviously, the guest speaker mentions about many things, but one thing that I want to discuss here is that the businesses are very excited about the diversity of the cultural values in each destination. And also the guest speaker next to me also mentioned about that. The most important thing here is that how we are going to develop it so that it can have some creativities. Then there's a lot of things. One of the things such as the tourism should be the local base or local people base. So we need to demonstrate the benefit of the creative tourism in, for example, that it can increase the life standards of the local people or the economics aspect. So from that you can persuade a local community to participate with us, and with the creative tourism there will be the participation of many stakeholders, such as the tour operators and the practitioners, as it's not the tour operator but that is a local people. I can give you an example. For example, it's just a night tour in Hoa Lo Relics, when we have a very good idea, but these products can sustain until now, and it's quite hot because we had the equipe or the team of Hoa Lo Relics that they doing very well with the operation and also marketing and the whole process. And another thing is that in building and design the creative products, I can give you an example. It's that it can have us the tourists understand more about Vietnamese value. We have the values in our hand, and we can expand that. I can give you an example in Phúc Am village, 15 kilometers away from Hanoi. They make the paper offerings that follow the mother religions, and when you come to that village, you can see the folk values and the superstitions that is totally different. we could see that the mother religions in Vietnam has been recognized by UNESCO, its intangible heritage, recognized by UNESCO. So I believe that it should be the corporations of the different stakeholders, and if the community can aware of that, they can confidently share that with the tourists, and from that they understand more about the values of the religions, and in the practice we can expand that. So that is very important for us to have the local community and also the tourists understand deeper. What I'm trying to say here is that from recognizing the tourists can become the co-creators, and they can have more knowledge in terms of the values in the destination. So that is two of my point of view here. Thank you. If one locality that they have the products or they have the resources that is do not have much of the value or vague in the values, do you think that can it develop into the creative tourism products as the guest speaker presented earlier, that we had to study thoroughly about the value, the creativities will amplify the values, cultural values. For example, we have the tourism products in Tường Phiêu, 40 kilometers away from Hanoi. And in Tường Phiêu, they have a very special relics. It's a Tường Phiêu temple. It's a national relics. And we just explore the two words Tường and Phiêu. At the beginning, nobody know about Tường Phiêu, but now Tường Phiêu is mean the cold wind. And that village is that where they grow the flowers, and when people visit there, they can take the pot of flowers. It means that they take the good winds back to their house. So from everyone not aware of what is the Tường Phiêu is about, then they're very happy with taking the pot plant from the Tường Phiêu village. They hope that they can take back the happiness and the luck in Tường Phiêu village. So that is a very practical example. And another thing is that there is a story that's along the river related to the legends. And we restore the legends and integrated the legends into the tours. If you go to the Tường Phiêu, you can see that they are catching the fish in thick river. That is a heritage of that village, and we exploit that aspect. So if anyone not aware of that, then people are aware of that. Sometimes the villagers, they might think it's just common practice, but this can be the heritage. Thank you so much. With your inspirational comment, I want to ask you that so we can close the very first part of the discussion today related to the role, the expectation of the creative tourism contribute to the sustainable tourism in the destinations. That's there's a lot of aspect, and what Mr. Thắng just shared is that with the destination like Vietnam, I believe that's a lot of people might be pessimistic. They say that they do not have any values, and maybe they might think that that is not the relics, or might not have any value. So only when we are being creative, then we can have the smart tourisms. And this is the suggestion or recommendation for the community, because of all the community needs to join hands together. And with the creative tourism contribute to the sustainable development is very important. Firstly, in social development, and creative tourism help us to preserve. And now that is an important aspect. And creativity, if it doesn't have the preservations, then it will not be promoted. And now creative tourism is a hot debate because because it's a creativity. So what is the borders, boundaries of the creativity? And because it's a creativity, we need to integrate the temporal point of view and a modern aspect. And some people might are very conservative, or maybe they just want to preserve what is passed from the earlier generation, and they think that the creative tourism might be dismissed on of those values. The next value is that the economic values of the creative tourism. We all emphasize and highlight on that it for sure to promote the economics of the destination and has a good contribution to the local people or local communities. However, if it's considered that is the first goal, then if that's just the business is the first goal, that is not the what the expert recommend or support. We might need to think that it's just the secondary, but it's not the primary goal. Now, creative tourism bring a lot of the added value and has a low impact. Of course, on the tourism has an impact on the natural resources, but this has a low impact, and creative tourism is in low impact. That's why it need to be encouraged. Every house make the creative tourisms, and every business focus on the creative tourisms, so that it's the policies that's been supported by Vietnam. And I would like to conclude my recap for the part one, and I would like to send the online message. So this is your last chance to send the questions, the second part. And we will ask on of the guest speaker here. First, I would like to ask Mr. Sawa Soburi, the manager of Jalan Research Centers, after listening on of the sharings, what do you think? And now I would like to share my point of view. The first question is that the creative tourism contribute to the sustainable tourism in destination. After listening to the presentation of the Vietnamese speakers, I'm very impressed because the creative tourism it's center based, human based, or human centers, so that we can give the added value to the tourist. I believe that is very important for tourism in the future. I believe creative tourism at the different localities through the cultural values, creativities, bring the benefit, economic benefit, social benefit for the destination. And that must be ensured so that we can maintain the sustainable tourism and creative tourism. And we also need to collaborate with the local people so that we can identify the cultural values that we want to preserve in the coming time, as well as traditional values, and we want to transfer it to the next generation. So we need to discuss with the local community. So after that, we can find the creative approach that is necessary, and the people participate in this activity that can sympathize, as well as can be the companionship, has more connections and attract the tourist to visit not only one time but many times, and through that create the economic value for the destination. The economic values will contribute to development of the communities and have the local people to become more proud of their local communities, improve the qualities of the visitor to the localities as well, and indirectly prevent the over tourism that's facing in many other destinations. We also need to connect the mindset of the local people as with the mindset of the tourists, and with that we can create the tourism sustainable and creative. Thank you so much. After listen the sharings from Mr. Sawabori, the manager of Dalan Research Centers, and now we can see the role of the creative tourism. And the experts from Japan mentioned that creative tourism can help to reduce the over tourism in other destinations. And in Vietnam, we also think that is important. However, that the tourism communities here they still strive for more tourists. They might not pay attention to the over tourism in Vietnam. Now, I would like to ask a topic two. Is that from your role, what can you do? What you like to work on, or any suggested actions? What actions that you can promote the creative tourism or create the creativities for sustainable development? This question seems to be quite broad, but you can detail it into your opinions. And for me, if I were you, I also want to discuss about the originalities of the creative tourisms and at what level we can be creative, because Ms. Sagawan Noburi Sang also mentioned that we also need to discuss about the creativities of the tourism. If we do not have the discussions with the local community, it's quite dangerous. So I hope that the three Japanese guest speakers, you can shed some light on this. Now I would like to, because now it is online, maybe later may have some technical problem issues. I would like to ask Mr. Sawan Noburi for the second question. What do you think, and what would you like to want to promote the creative added value into the tourism sectors? Actually, from my point of view, what can I do in order to create the added value for the creative tourism sectors, as mentioned by the MC? As you said, that we need to create the consensus about the visions of the localities. What it means is that we need to discuss carefully with the relevant stakeholders, and what would be the pictures in the futures. For myself, if I'm in my role, I think that I want to participate in the discussion. So from that we can create the consensus for the futures of the tourism of the localities, and with the model for humans centers, then human should be integrated in this model, and the humans should be trained and more matures, and train the tour guide as well as the tour operators and the local managers, so that the stakeholder that they are responsible for the tourism of the destination. Another thing is that in order to improve the added value of the creative tourism, I think to improve the branding of the creative tourism, and also the locality, how we can communicate, how we can market things, the creative tourism of the destination. Maybe we need to create the story properly. That's how we need to study the existing value, and from that we can create the tool for the marketings and communications of the destination. Thank you so much, Mr. Sawan. And now I would like to invite Mr. Phùng Quang Thắng to share his point of view. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, actually, in fact, when deploy, one of the things that we believe that we identify that the local communities would be the centers. And the important thing here is that we need to inspire the local community so that the local community will join us. The creative tourism, we can renovate the heritage, but at the same time preserve the value, conserve the value. That is a principle when we inspire the community. If the way we do tourism that impact the local communities is not going to be sustainable, in order to give the inspirations for the local communities, because today I think it is a very meaningful event, and I want to share with you that I participate in Hanoi Museum. I mentioned about the technology. There is two opinions. One thing is that we just use the current existing resources of the destination, and secondly, that's the second opinion, that we use technology to assist the experience and the arts to have the visitor to feel. So that is what we thought. And when we in a Hanoi Museum, I participate in a project that we have the experience room of the doctor, of the vet, Dak Thủy Trâm, from the diary of Dak Thủy Trâm, and it's translated into the different language when I wrote the script for the experience. So that experience is totally by the technologies. They have the screen of the 270 degree, so that they can experience the story. That then give the inspirations for the people in charge of the experience room, that they can record their voice. And when they monitor the room, they can hear their own voices. And from that they can have more inspiration. This is how what we do to mobilize people, and a lot of people participate in voice recording and participate in those clips. Secondly, related to the script, I believe that you might read the diary of Dak Thủy Trâm, Dr. Dak Thủy Trâm. If you watch the film Don't Burn or Đừng Đốt, you can feel Dr. Dak Thủy Trâm. What we share is that we do not taken from the literatures, transfer it into the experience room, but I pick on of the real conversation, and I match it in a logical video clips, so that the people who actually read the diary of Dr. Dak Thủy Trâm, they can listen again on of the dialogues, real conversations. And if anyone hasn't read the diary of Dak Thủy Trâm, Dr. Dak Thủy Trâm, they can feel and conversation touch their heart. I believe that's what we are doing in Hanoi Museum. So I know that I take a lot of time, but I want to share with you what we are doing. And in the coming time, with the launching of the experience room, and we have completed the trailer, we are very excited to launch it. So how we can mobilize and give the inspiration to the team is important as well. And also to add it to the point of Mr. Phùng Quang Thắng, when he shared about his passion and his products. And with the Japanese guest speakers, he mentions about the experience room of the literatures called Diaries of Dr. Đặng Thùy Trâm, who was the soldiers, a doctor or soldiers in the wartime. This is a special experience for the next generation learn and also proud about Vietnam as well as the patriotisms. And from the Vietnam side, I would like to ask Mr. Hoàng Đạo Bảo Cầm what Mr. Thắng shares earlier, as well as what the tourism industry is doing in the destination. It's quite creative, has a creative element. I believe that everyone is trying to artify it, artify the relics and also the experience. When I visit Japan, I can see it's a bit different. In Japan, their products, they also let me participate in the experience, but they don't try to artify it. In Vietnam, we have the trend to artify a lot from the cultural art or folk art. And they make the videos or have the performance. What do you think about this one? I don't know how to start because on of the theory on theory is a great with the presentation of Mr. Nishino and the presentations of Mr. Thùng Quang Thắng. I don't know what to say because as Mr. Lê Anh shares, I remember about the floating market. Floating market is products on the activities, not only Vietnam but also the countries in Mekong and also in Thailand. And Thailand, Thailand now is they have the performing on the floating market, but that is not very successful. They still have a bit of the floating market, but it's not that popular anymore. And they also have the effort to maintain the floating market for the commercial purpose. And I hope that the floating market would be the real floating market for the commerce, for trading. It's not for the showing. That is the key to create the creative products that they have the real value. And another thing is that we also need to be open. We need to be really open. And we need to look at it as a different angle. As I shared earlier, the service provider, the local community, that they need to have the point of the visitors, and they will need to know what would be interesting, what can they improve. Another thing is that with the creativity, we understand that creativity need to have the room for creativity, but we also need to have the policies framework so that the creativity go with the right trends with the countries. And thank you so much, Mr. Bảo Cầm. I want to ask you, the two representatives from Japan here, Mr. Nishino from Ichizen. What do you think about the action plan? Thank you so much, the organizers. In my presentation, the keyword is that the craft village that I shared with you. I believe that this is the main topic and the keyword for the panel discussions. what the important thing here is, for example, in the tourism destination, if we need to maintain the existing value, how to develop it, I think it's also very important. For example, in each locality, we have the temples, the pagodas, and in Japan, if you go to Japan, you can see that we have more than 200 temples in Japan, and all of the locality had temple and pagodas. For example, if you're visiting Japan, you might want to visit the pagodas and the temple in Japan. And another example is that the example of the pagoda. With the generations that they know about the temperature, the pagodas or the temple, the next generations of the monk from the pagodas, and they will live where they live, and they will have to shaping and the planning. So this is the current status for the preservations of the relics or the pagodas or the temple, and this is what we are facing. Therefore, first of all, when we talk about the relics that's related to the pagoda or the temple or the cultures impacted by the Chinese cultures, we carry out the surveys with the people who are the owners of the temple, and we carry out the surveys in the coming time to make sure that it can be the cultural heritage, and what we can do, and we could see that they all have their mindset, and they want to deploy the activities for the tourists to experience. Well, now I would like to ask Mr. Suzuki, the director from the International Affairs of the Office. I'm really impressed with your presentation for the guidelines of the sustainable tourism. I would like to ask you if that's I would like to ask you whether the guideline, there are a lot of the criteria that is mentioned about the creative tourism. Could you please share the action so that we can promote the creative tourism in tourism sector? Thank you so much for your questions. In the guideline, even though there are not directly mentioned about the creative tourism, but there's a lot of content related to providing the experience for the tourists, and there are also the indicators for assessing, for example, using the resources of the locality to produce the tourism products, and how to develop the tour guides at the localities. As Mr. Saraburi mentioned, this is one of the important tools, and in that, more importantly, it's the consensus to take the opinions of the relevant stakeholders, and from that we can aim for the sustainable development, and that would be the sustainable destination in the coming time. And through the dialogue, we would request the residents of the to participate in the dialogue as well. In order to do that, we also need to have the support from the organization to provide the financial support, and also some of the mention about the human trainings. And with the creative tourism, we need to train the tour guides who can transfer the values, historical values, cultural value to the tourist, and so on. We also has carried out the survey on the tour guides in locality in Japan, and we know that we lack of tour guides, and we need to have the plan to train the tour guide, the network of the tour guides uh, at the same time. We will work to train the expert in historical expert that can support the tourism activity at the localities, and what the local authority need to do when we have the wonderful products but we cannot promote it abroad, then we cannot exploit the value. So that's why we make use of the network through the embassies to advertise for the products. At the same time, in Vietnam, we are aware that you are invested in creative tourism, and we pay attention to that, and we can learn from the creative tourism of Vietnam as well. I hope the guest speaker from Japan participate today can learn from Vietnam and provide the ideas for the Japanese destinations. Well, so thank you so much for your sharing about the financial support for the creative tourism both in Vietnam and Japan. Now I would like to move to the discussion. I got the questions from Mr. Takahashi. The question from Mr. Takahashi, whether that's Mr. Takahashi is from online or offline. If it is, if you are offline, so please raise your voice. Mr. Takahashi, are you there? If not, on the behalf of Mr. Takahashi, I will pass the question. I believe that's a question related to addressed to Miss Nguyễn Cẩm Thơ, and if you want to participate, and you can raise your hand. And in Japan, that you expand the experience tourism with the cooperation of the government, local authority, with the concept. The moving would be the resource with the theme green slow mobility, using the slow speed EV. Would it be popular in Vietnam? So, Mr. The floor is on yours. I think that this is a tourism form that is very new in the practice. The form of the tourism with the EV mobility from the different destinations. I think in tourism, we have the policy to promote that. It's called caravan tourism. I believe that Mr. Thắng are aware of the caravan tourism. When the Vietnam National Authority of Tourism promoted for the caravan route to Laos and Cambodia, and the visitor will experience the caravans from destination to destinations, so that they can experience destination. And the mobility, green mobility, actually you talking about the new concept that through the questions we cannot feel exactly the implementation, but in our strategies and policies, that the transformation to the green tourism is quite clear. And we believe that in the coming time, for sure, that within this month, 26th of November, we will have the conference on the 5-year review of tourism towards the 2030, and we will restructure the tourism. We believe that we will collect all of the result from the conference today is as one of the input and also the trends, and we can integrate it into the practice, transforming into the new era with the planning for the second stage of Vietnam tourism development master plan. As the Phùng Quang Thắng share, he want to talk about the products about the green mobility. I believe that's all of the products we deploy in all the destinations. So this is the bullet point, because tourism is closely linked to the transportation, and with the green transportation we have many forms. We mobilize if they can have the free bicycle, they can have it for rented, and we also put the address where they can rent the motorbike of the local, the bicycle of the local people, or we can transport the tourists in the EV. If we go to Tường Phiêu village, we have the digital map, and with this digital map, whenever you go, you can see that there will be the direction. You will never get lost. With the tour, there will be the GPS to show you where you go, and there will be the tour guides automatically in the 15 languages. So basically, you just can ride the bicycle, and there will be the tour guide, automatic tour guide. So thank you so much with your sharing, and I think that the time is finished, so I cannot add more question. Thank you so much, Mr. Takahashi, and I hope that we will continue with this topic. Do you have? We also have one more question. Please pass the microphone. Hello, everyone. I'm very glad to participate in this conference. This is one of the paths that my companies follow. We have the difficulty to develop the creative tourism because the communities, they only care if they can develop their craft products, and tourism is another product. It's require a lot. When we deploy the creative tourism, is really difficult. So I want to ask a Japanese expert, can you share your experience in developing the creative tourism products in your country? I believe that your question is good but quite broad, so I can clarify this for the Japanese experts. So for the villagers, they just want to focus on their business, and if we want to encourage them to be a part of the journey for the creative tourism, it's very difficult. Maybe they might have some objections, and even as they have a strong objection. So I would like to ask one of the Japanese experts who volunteer to answer these questions. Nishi-san. So I believe that for the creative tourism, that is not popular in Japan. However, the way we do tourism in Japan, that's we have the shifting over the last year, shifting over the last years. What we have doing is that from the passive tourism, from sightseeing, looking, watching, to be more passive, also be more active. So with each destination, will have the uniqueness that to promote tourism. For example, after COVID-19, a lot of the locality that they deploy, they experience tourism with a small group. And in Tokyo, Kyoto, and in the big city, there are a lot of the tourists from other places, and also the international tourists. When we have too many international tourists and Japanese tourists, if they want to go to the big city, there would be no more capacities. So that's why, for the same with tourism for children, they do not have the place for the tour, so they might need to take the tour abroad for the primary or the secondary students. So that's why we need to have the policies beyond the localities. What I mean by that, tourism, in order to promote that, the domestic tours in tourism in Japan also need to shipping from the passive to active, and what can learn from the destinations. So are you satisfied with the questions? So I think that we need maybe another afternoon to discuss about it. Thank you so much. And I can see the keyword here. It's that we need to have the policies, the mechanism beyond the locality. So this is really difficult. And sometimes the dialogue is not enough, but we also need to have another engines or motivation. So I would like to close it here. And thank you so much for your questions. And I will not be able to answer all of your questions because this workshop mostly will just open the opportunities for us to discuss. So on the behalf of the organizers, I would like to say thank you to all of your contribution and 6 guest speakers on the stage today with your contributions, which is very insightful. And I hope that we can meet you in the next discussions so that we can enrich the practices in designing the policies and including the creative tourism. A big applause for 6 guest speakers. Yeah, thank you so much. I would like to invite you back to your seat.
To invite everyone to go back to your seats and please continue. A big thank you to all our speakers for today's really very insightful discussion, and it's truly valuable. You know, everyone in the hall or the online participants, you can send your questions to the email on the screen, and we are willing to receive your feedback. That brings us to the end of today's panel discussion, and I would like to invite Ms. Nguyễn Thị Thu Phương, Director of VICAST, and Okuda, Executive Director of Japan Transport and Tourism, to deliver the closing remarks, and to Ms. Nguyễn Thị Thu Phương to have the closing remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have 4 hours being together, really focused, productive, and very inspiring about the Vietnam-Japan International on creative tourism, sustainable destination development, and we have concluded its full agenda, and by the experts, scholars, policymakers, businesses, and media representatives from both Vietnam and Japan. And I'm really touched and happy. And until now, except some of the delegates cannot finish today's symposium, we have everybody here and all of the delegates and guests from online and offline. and it's the noon in Japan, and everybody here is still so passionate. And we today we have successfully finished this program, and please give a big round of applause for everybody. People have told me that very short closing remarks. So we will have some summary in Vietnam. We see that emphasize the need to transform our tourism mindset, and really a scientific discussion, and the need to transform our tourism mindset from resource exploitation to cultural value creation, placing people and local communities at the heart of creative development. And we see that from Japanese side, experts from Japan Tourism Agency and ASEAN Tourism Association have shared valuable experiences in sustainable destination management, traditional craft preservation, and the use of technology to enhance visitor experiences. These 4 key presentations painted a comprehensive picture of creative tourism, from theory to practice, from public management to community and business initiatives. And we have heard the presentation and the panel discussion really creatively moderated by Dr. Trịnh Lê Anh. We see that we have some really important common directions, and we need to shift the tourism development mindset toward creativity and culture as core drivers, recognizing identity as a destination's unique competitive asset. We need to preserve and from Cẩm Thơ and the VICAST. We have integration with the 2 institutes, and using art and technology to awaken heritage and make it come alive in contemporary life. And we strengthen cooperation among the public, private, community, and international sectors, especially in creative human resource training, developing Vietnam's creative tourism criteria, and building a network of green, creative, and sustainable destinations nationwide. And that's our suggestions. And following today's outcome, VICAST and JTTRI will continue to collaborate in research, training, and expert exchange, as well as implement the memorandum of cooperation signed this morning. And to actualize the commitments, and we see that this marks an important step toward a long-term Vietnam-Japan creative tourism partnership, which include researching creative tourism models in selected localities of Vietnam. We aim at creative cities in creative planning of the government, and supporting the training of creative tourism and destination management professionals. And we see that we need to organize the annual workshops, forums, and academic exchange programs between the 2 institutes are really necessary to create the researchers' ecosystems between 2 countries. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to express my heartfelt appreciation to JTTRI, our strategic partner and trusted companion, and to all delegates, speakers, experts, businesses, and media representatives for your valuable participation and contributions to the success of this event. And I truly believe that the result of today's discussion will open new directions for creative tourism in Vietnam, helping it become a breakthrough approach toward a more sustainable and human-centric tourism industry, in the very spirit of cooperation and creativity that Vietnam and Japan continue to foster together. With that spirit, I am honored to declare the closing of 3rd Vietnam-Japan International Symposium on Creative Tourism Sustainable Destination Development. I wish you of all good. I wish all of you good health, happiness, and success. And I hope that the today's discussion will give you suggestions, and you will have the approach and the new approach to creative tourism. Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Nguyễn Thị Thu Phương, and please welcome Okuda, President for International Affairs, President of Japan Transport and Tourism Research Institute, and Japan Transport Head of Tourism Research Institute, to have closing remarks. Hi everyone, I'm from VICAST, and I would like to express my deep appreciation to for everybody, and to have a successful event together. And I would like to send my deep thanks to everybody to have shared your valuable insights for today's event, and for making this event successful. I would like to extend my warm thanks to everyone attending on-site and to those participating online. And today's workshop, held under the theme of creating added value tourism toward a sustainable future for local communities, provided many thought-provoking presentations and discussions on how local cultures and histories can be preserved and utilized as tourism resources. I would like to emphasize the importance of traditional culture and local wisdom as source of regional identity and creativity, and how connecting them with tourism can generate sustainable value while respecting local uniqueness, as seen in examples such as artisan traditional crafts and crafts experiences in Hội An and Bát Tràng village. The second thing is that the perspective that tourism should not merely be an external consumption activity, but rather a community-led initiative that protects culture while creating new experiences and circulates the benefits back into the community. Industrial revitalization and environmental conservation. Creative tourism equals economic plus cultural and plus social benefits, like Mr. Quang Thang have emphasized. The idea that tourists are not just observers but co-creators who collaborate with local residents to co-create new value through art, crafts, gastronomy, and storytelling, as emphasized by Dr. Gum in her remarks. Through such creative and community-driven initiatives, it was highlighted that we can address social challenges such as the shortage of successors in traditional industries and population decline, ensuring that culture and livelihoods are passed on to future generations. These perspectives are essential not only for Japan and Vietnam, but also for Asia and the wider world, and we strive towards sustainable and high-quality tourism. I'm confident that today's discussion will serve as valuable input for future initiatives in this field. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, and for people who we will send you the slides through the QR code and through email. And I hope that receive your feedback. And with the on-site participants, please leave your interpretation device on the chair, and we officially declared to be closing the third Japan-Vietnam Tourism and Human Resources Exchange event, and with the theme Creative Tourism for Added Value Towards a Sustainable Future for Destinations. And thank you very much for staying with us until the end of today's program, and you can join us with the lunch at the first floor restaurant. Thank you.